Well, hello everybody. You guessed it. It is Wig Off Wednesday. So I have some thoughts to share. First, I'm going to make an announcement. This is a different format than I've been using before. Prior to starting my YouTube page, I just would go live on Facebook. But I wanted to create a format that was a little bit more formal. You can still comment. But I'm going to start collecting these comments for my Dear Miss Stevie advice column and podcast. So please stay tuned for that. Today's Wig Off Wednesday is about settling, right? I'm going to encourage everyone under the sound of my voice to not settle. I have settled before. So I'm not saying this from a standpoint of someone who has just achieved all of the success and all of the hopes and dreams that I hope to achieve at some point and never settled in life and everything is beautiful, right? There's a poem about Langston Hughes' mom where there's a reference to her life not being a crystal stair. So I say that all the time, like my life ain't no crystal stair, okay? It's not been easy. It's not been particularly wonderful all of the time, but it has been a life that I'm extremely appreciative of and a life that I hope to continue to cultivate in the direction that I feel God is leading me. So with that said, I want to encourage you all not to settle. Don't settle. Don't stay where you are if you don't feel satisfied with where you are. I know it sounds very simple, but inaction is very scary. But what's scarier? Like staying there in whatever situation you feel stuck in forever? Or taking a leap of faith and betting on yourself, betting on your experience, betting on your abilities, betting on your unique talents, gifts, and personality, right? So let's think about this. I am starting a podcast, but I also am definitely a podcast junkie. Like I love podcasts, right? And one of my favorite podcasts is Radiolab. Radiolab is a show that used to come on NPR on Saturdays here in Columbus. And it was just one of my favorite shows because they take different like scientific ideas or certain situations that happen in history, and then they break those down completely. So you get a history of things, you get a better understanding of things. That's where I learned about Henrietta Lacks. It's where I learned that trees have feelings, basically. It's just a wonderful, wonderful show. I highly recommend it. But one of the things that they talked about was scientific black boxes. A black box in science is something that scientists cannot figure out. It's just something that happens that they create theories about it, but there's no definitive answer yet. One of the black boxes in science is what happens to a caterpillar inside of the chrysalis that would help it turn into a butterfly. So I'll go through what we do know, and I'm going to tell you why I'm using this story to talk about not settling. So a caterpillar is born, and caterpillars look like little worms, little fat worms, and what they do is they eat. They live to consume. They just are eating leaves, eating leaves, eating leaves, eating leaves. And then eventually when the time is right, they create what's called a chrysalis. Some people refer to it as a cocoon, but the appropriate word for a caterpillar turning into a butterfly's cocoon is a chrysalis. So they would turn into that. They create it around themselves. They're inside of it as far as we know. And then after, however long of them baking in there, out pops a butterfly, right? This beautiful insect with these grand, vibrant wings, and they flutter around to fulfill their life's purpose, which is partially to go from flower to flower. It's how we're able to have food and plants and that sort of thing. Bees do the same thing, but pretty much that's what butterflies do and how they, carry out their purpose in the grander scheme of things. So, they call it a black box because if you were to cut like a chrysalis open, it's just goo in there. Like there's nothing in, like it's goo. It's slime. There's no bug in there. You would think that you'd crack it open and see like a sleeping caterpillar or a sleeping butterfly, and that's not so. It's just ooze. So the reason I'm talking about this today when I'm talking about not settling is because the butterfly being and becoming a butterfly is the final stage of fulfilling the purpose that it was created for. The butterfly being a caterpillar is the beginning stages, it's preparation. They have to consume things that are going to help them when they go into the chrysalis so that they can sustain the process for transformation, right? Then once they are in there, everything just about falls apart. It's goo. They're literally in a process, in a transformative state. It is also the state where they're the most vulnerable. They're just completely breaking down and then becoming something else. And then out pops this butterfly. But the crazy part is, if you were to crack open, like I said, if you crack open a chrysalis, it's just goo. But if you were to crack open a caterpillar, like if you were to slit it up the back and dissect it, you would see a set of wings and all of the parts that a butterfly has in its full form. So that means there's a butterfly inside of the caterpillar the entire time. And in order for the caterpillar to go from being a caterpillar to a butterfly, there's a transformative process. So if at any point the caterpillar stops, if at any point the caterpillar just doesn't make it, they remain in that stage of either consuming or goo, vulnerable, constantly transforming. And maybe it's safe in that chrysalis. Maybe it's warm in that chrysalis. Maybe it's easy to stay and hide in there. But if they stay in there, they never take on the purpose that they were made for. They never complete that cycle. So I say that because it when I heard that story, like, it blessed me immediately. It resonated with me. And I was like, that's what we do. That's what people are. On the inside of us, there is an innate purpose. There's a reason why we are here. And we go through certain stages in life, ever pushing us towards that purpose. And if we stop and we settle at any stage, we have not completed, we have not fulfilled that which we were here created for. We're going to be stuck in a situation where we're consuming, or we're just vulnerable, or where we're just transforming. And how sad, because on the inside is this gift. On the inside is something that not only will make you feel alive because you're doing what you were called to do, but you're also impacting and affecting the greater community and world around you. Don't settle for being a caterpillar. And don't settle for the transformation. Don't get lost in there. Don't get too comfortable in there. Don't get complacent in there. You got to come out of the chrysalis sometime. You got to come out. That's a part of the plan. That's a part of what you were made for. I'm also going to encourage you, if you are in the stage where you're the most vulnerable, if you are in that transformational period of being wrapped up in this cocoon, I want you to trust the process. Don't give up. Don't be afraid that you're only going to always be goo, because that's not so. And if you're a caterpillar and you're just starting out and all you're doing is looking for good things to consume things that are going to help you in your process. Feed yourself, feed your mind, your body, your heart, things that are positive and are going to push you forward. Feed yourself the things that you need to fulfill your purpose, and allow the process to run its full course. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. So trust that process. I would also encourage anybody that's watching right now to think about, I would also encourage anybody watching to think about a time.